I have to say this. I'm not used to do this, so normally I would be really... my wife and my youngest son, they are here, and they would tell you that I would be very, very nervous normally. And the fact that I'm not is only because of you. You are so sweet and kind, and I wish to thank you for that. Thank you. Now, we are in the 22nd day of the 100-day journey through relentless rain and storm and snow, not preventing Sadhguru riding for hours at a stretch from London, cruising through the Netherlands, Germany, Prague, Vienna, Slovenia, Rome, Geneva, Paris, and now Brussels. And in the same time, he's meeting up with global leaders, influencers, citizens, and their elected representatives, which have hosted the Safe Soil event so far. So now we'd like to share some of these moments that the Safe Soil movement with Sadhguru had experienced so far. Is a happy, funny, dangerous journey up till now, and how the world is dancing in rhythm, saying, Safe Soil.
Soil is not a separate subject. If we are interested in health, if we are interested in agriculture, if we are interested in the well-being of the citizens of today and the unborn child of tomorrow, attending to soil right now, this is a must-do thing in our life.
So this memorandum of understanding that we are signing, it will also bring some technical assistance to the Caribbean region.
This is a historic moment because here is the first step to turn around.
It's an extraordinary campaign.
You know, it's shocking and unnerving.
Wish you a very successful, joyful, exhilarating journey.
I will take care of the acceleration and joy myself.
Yeah.
What I need is, next 100 days from 21st of March, we want the whole world to talk about soil. If you want to say, I love you to your child, you must just say Safe Soil, because it is a more committed way of saying I love you.
You are probably one of the most famous Indians. And what you're doing today is really important because people like you who have a wonderful following of millions and millions of people, and what you're doing with that is so important with saving the soil.
In the last 20 years, over 300,000 farmers have committed suicide. If this doesn't wake you up, what else I'm asking? What else needs to happen?
Sadhguru, you have the ability to change the world for the better.
This many people, 6,000 people, with today's technology available, various platforms available, if you make up your mind, you yourself can reach 3 to 4 billion people. Yes or no? Will you make it happen? It's not about the motorcycle, it's not about the journey, it's not about the song, it is about moving people on the planet. Make it happen, huh?
many followers. What is the thing I can do to help to save the soil?
In your neighborhood, do a jig. Initially, people will think, what's wrong with her? After some time, kids will come and dance with you. Tell them, just go and tell your parents, they must talk about this. I'm saying go and request people. I'm saying at this time if you don't talk to people, we will be a very regretful generation. Please, let's not go there.
I think if we all contribute, then we have a really strong voice. Save soil.
Event is about to start. There is a lot of crowd still waiting for us to get inside.
There has been so much excitement and everybody is so excited to hear Sadhguru talk about Save Soil.
Tonight was absolutely overwhelming, and I was so honored to have the opportunity, first of all, just to meet Sadhguru was a huge honor.
Sadhguru is very charismatic, and he says it as it is.
I want all graffiti artists, to whatever walls that you have, make sure that you use this. This is our time. This is our time on the planet. What we do here is our business. Let's do the right things and save soil, and let's make it happen. One of the most beautiful cities of Europe. It is time that we in 21st century show that we are a mature citizens of this planet, that we want long-term well-being for ourselves and future generations. This is the opportunity. Save Soil is that moment.
And I'm convinced that both our Minister of Agriculture as well as the entire ministry fully supports that trend or that direction.
He's offering me much more than I came to ask him for.
It's our common issue together. It's not for one nation, for one person, but we as people have to unite and to solve this.
In this wonderful city of Vienna. Soil is a common denominator to bring all of us together. Make sure the world gets it now. Lala lele le is your mantra for now, for these 93 days. And above all, don't pick a fight with anybody, it doesn't matter what they're doing, because we need every one of them. Namaskar. Yes, I know war is an important thing, but it's such an important thing that we can do without in our lives. At least from here on, cutting-edge technology should not go into military weaponry. This you must pitch for.
So, how do you feel here in Ljubljana in Slovenia?
Feeling like it's home.
Rešimo prst!
all of us have been part of this destruction. The only way is all of us become part of the solution also. So let's make it happen. Riding on to Italy. Italy is raining heavily tonight. Here in Venice, what a city. I am a huge admirer of Rome because whoever did it, their sense of geometry is so fantastic. The former president of European Parliament, he is 100% with us, and FAO is our partners now.
And we are very happy that we are aligned in our message to high the profile of soils, and we believe that is very much needed.
This great city, which is known as the Eternal City, we must understand over 2000 years ago, this Eternal City made the mistake of overfarming the region, and the erosions that caused did tremendous damage, and that was also the fall of the city at that time. So, the Romans of today should never make that mistake once again. Here we are in Geneva.
I think it's a message of urgency, but it's also a message of hope. So I would really like to thank Sadhguru for his leadership.
The global movement led by him addresses the soil crisis by mobilizing people around the entire world.
This massive fountain in the Lake of Geneva is lit up for Save Soil today, with Save Soil colors of blue and green. You cannot stop this. The moment is on. It's going to be on till the policies are done. See, when people want it, it definitely will happen. There's no question about it. Tell me, will it happen? Yeah! And in this cold, slippery road and winds are picking up speed.
We already have one action, which is an MOU to be signed between Isha Foundation and 4,000 Initiative Soils for Food Security and Climate for cooperation in achieving our objective of creating a healthier soil.
So it's been a super impactful 2 days here, and just now we had our group of enthusiastic Save Soil volunteers assemble near Eiffel Tower. It's fantastic. France has been great.
It's getting warmer and warmer, isn't it? Yeah. So in a good way. Our honored guest today is Patricia Heidegger. She is the Director of Global Policies and Sustainability at the European Environmental Board, which is Europe's largest network, bringing together 170 civil society organizations from more than 35 European countries for sustainable development and justice. So please welcome Patricia Heidegger. And of course, the transformer, the one and only Sadhguru.
Please sit down.
Kalo na janati tava jananam, Kalo na janati tava samapanam, Drushto maya tava mahakaraha Yogeshwara Kala Kala Yogeshwara Kala Kala.
Good evening, everybody. Namaskaram and good evening. Please.
Good evening, everybody. We're very excited to meet you here in Brussels. So we've just heard about your amazing story, travel. 22 days already you've been traveling through our continent, and you've seen very different parts of our region already. So maybe to start with, can you tell us one encounter, one impression that you had, seeing our region, all the different landscapes, the different ways people have been working with soil, different traditions, but also a continent which has been profoundly transformed in the last 50, 60 years by urban development, infrastructure development, intensive agriculture. So is there something that has struck you, something that has been a strong impression?
Namaskaram, good evening to everyone. See, agriculture is not new to Europe. Particularly in southern Europe, agriculture has been a very active part of it, like countries like Italy, very much strong agricultural nations. What has happened is, after World War II, this post-World War II anxiety of wanting to meet the food requirement for the people, where there was a real issue, the genuine issue out there. So these emergency measures that they took to cross that moment, unfortunately, we did not see it as a bridge to cross over and then get back to normal. We stayed on the bridge for too long. The same emergency measures continued. Agricultural policies and agricultural tradition itself completely transformed itself into an emergency mode. See, in our lives, when there is an emergency, we may do certain things to ward off that particular danger that we have. We cannot be in that mode for always. That is the mistake that's happened when I really see it.
So, well, as we've heard it, also here in Europe, we are facing soil degradation at a very large scale, at a worrying pace. Urban development, infrastructure development, sealing of soils is increasing. Agricultural intensification is making our soils more prone to erosion. Chemical pesticides use has not been going down, despite all of our knowledge and development of pesticides that require less, smaller doses. We have millions of contaminated sites around our region, and several European countries already suffer now from desertification. A few months ago, last November, the European Commission for the European Union presented a new soil strategy, and we now have a political target that by 2050 we want to restore the health of our soils. What do you think, what is the role that agriculture needs to play? What is the role for agroecological farming and forestry practices to restore our soils and to provide us with healthy and nutritious food?
See, when it comes to urban infrastructure, just now I was coming to this auditoria, well, our GPS led us somewhere else, to a totally different place. And then we were trying to race here somehow and get here on time. What I see is this is the fact in most cities in the world, not just in Europe. Both sides of the traffic are busy, both sides of the road. What does this mean? People who live here work there, people who live there work here. What's wrong with us? We just like to be on the road, it looks like that. For fun, if you're on the road, there must be another road where we can go and have fun. But right now, people are going to work, neither are they enjoying their drive. Unnecessarily, they're spending so much of their productive time on the street in every city in the world. But you will see both sides of the traffic busy means something wrong, the way we're designing our cities. Well, a large part of the city might have happened long time ago, we might not have much choice about that, but at least the newer part of the city, are we looking like that? We are not. Generally in the world, nobody is looking at that. So we build unnecessary infrastructure. Infrastructure is very needed, but how much infrastructure, for what purpose, is something we could look at. About industrial scale of agriculture, as I said, that scale of agriculture was needed because at that time there were famine situations in the world. This happened everywhere in the world, not just in Europe. I'm not very certain about the date, probably it was 2012, if I'm right. In 2012, we produced enough food for 18 billion people. We did not have 18 billion people, nor do we still have, fortunately. We still don't have 18 billion people, I hope we won't go there. But we produced food for 18 billion people, still nearly 2 billion people were hungry. So where is this going? So, from the store to the stove, from the stove to the plate, from the plate to the stomach, there is a huge loss. I do not know the statistics in Europe. In United States, they say only 1/3 of the food that comes on the plate goes to the stomach, rest goes somewhere. So this lack of regard for that which makes our life is a serious issue. But a time has come now that trying to transform the people large scale and then fixing the problem, we are not in such times. We need to fix the problem whether people transform themselves or not. We must fix the problem with the right kind of policy. When I look at the policy, I'm not an expert on this, you should know more about this than me. But what I see is, we are making too complex a policy, which is very hard to implement. See, among the various conventions that have happened in the world regarding environment and other things, the only convention which we successfully completed is the ozone hole fixing convention. We were successful because it was a one-point agenda. We need to do the same with soil. Too many things are involved. Right now you spoke about pesticide, fertilizer, this, that. All that is a genuine problem, I'm not saying no, there are significant problems. But the most important problem is the soil is dying. Soil is dying, definitely pesticide, fertilizer, weedicide, herbicide, all these sides are enhancing the speed of destruction. But the most important thing is there is no organic material. Why there is no organic material? Because there are only two sources of organic material, plant life and animal life. Plant life went out of it because of our wanting to produce more, we removed all the trees and other plants from the farms. And animal life went out of it because of the machines. Machines came, it became easier to work, so we pulled out the animals. So where is the organic content? Organic content means food for the microbes. Microbes means they are the source of our life. It's because of them that we are here. Even in terms of evolutionary terms, it is important, it's not only today's ecology, in terms of evolutionary terms, it is only because of them we have happened. That complex life system, most important thing that needs to happen is, in the last 2 years I've been shocked to see in most nations in the world, Soil is being still addressed as an inert substance that you can fix by adding a chemical or removing a chemical. Soil is the largest living system, not just on this planet, in the known universe. It is the largest living system with zillions of life forms, millions of species, which are being lost at the rate of approximately 27,000 species per year. So, the most important thing is first keep the soil alive. Other problems, please address it, I'm not saying no, but first keep it alive. I'm saying, I'm a human being, so one doctor may say my liver is not okay, another may say my kidney is not okay, another may say my brain is definitely not okay, otherwise why would I take this job? So, all this is fine. You can address all my liver, kidney, brain because I'm alive. If I'm dead, which one will you attend to, I'm asking, and what does it matter? That's called as, postmortem stuff. That's of no use. So, right now keeping the soil alive is the most expressed need. People like you are under whom many organizations are there. If the focus shifts to soil, after that, I'm not saying give up the other things. Other things are equally important. But first thing is to keep it alive. When I say keep it alive, see in Northern Europe, which is a temperate climate, here you have 1.48% organic content. This is dangerous. In Southern Europe, you have 1.1%. In Africa, on an average, you have 0.3%. In India, on an average, you have 0.68%. In United States and North America, you have approximately 1.25 to 1.3%. This is a dangerous level because we are heading towards desertification. In the last 25 years, 10% of the earth's land has turned into a desert. 10% in 25 years, where are we going?
Well, you've already mentioned the question of kind of food security and how kind of the fear not to have enough food has driven very fundamental changes in the way we've been producing food. You've mentioned the fact that we are producing more food than we need, and we have more people who are actually overfed, but still having millions that go hungry. So, well, I wasn't particularly looking at you. But, well, obviously there's an imbalance in the system. So when we kind of promote more agroecological practices, what we often hear from the, say, food and agricultural lobby, the intensive agriculture, is that, well, if you change agroecological practices, you will lower productivity, you will have less income. Now, research has shown that this is not necessarily the case, and we came across some recent research from your home country in India, from Andhra Pradesh, where we understand a quite large share of the agricultural production is under agroecological practices, and where research has shown that once you transition from, let's say, conventional or intensive agriculture to more agroecological practices, you might have a stagnation of production and of income, but on the long run, you will actually see an increase in productivity, you will even see an increase in farm income. So,
Can I say something on that? See, in southern India, we have this project going as Project Green Hands for the last nearly 27, 28 years now. And then we came up with the Rally for Rivers and then Kaveri Calling. What this is largely the kind of agriculture which has a minimum of 10% of the land has the necessary organic content for the remaining 90%. This is in the form of trees, in the form of fruit trees, in the form of timber trees, variety of things. I will not go into the detail of how it is done, but the income of the farmers has gone up in 7 to 8 years' time, anywhere between 300 to 800%. The soil content, the soil quality has improved significantly. Water tables have come up. Nutritional value in the food has gone up. In the marketplace, it is sought after, this particular produce that comes from this. Variety of crops, not any one crop. But doesn't matter what kind of industrial farming you do or dastardly farming you do, but will rich soil assist you or will it be against you? That is a simple question. This is why I said, we should not complicate this with too much talk about fertilizer, this one, that one. See, how much fertilizer or how much pesticide gets into the food that you're eating depends on a variety of factors, not just on the volume applied. On a given day when you apply, what stage of development is the crop in at that time? Is it flowering? Is it pre-flowering? Has the fruit or vegetable already come in? What is it? Apart from that, what is the humidity conditions on that day? Did it rain? Did it snow? What happened on that day? What is the temperature? Accordingly, that much of it gets into the food, nobody can 100% gauge it how much. But we are talking about destruction of the soil. Destruction of the soil definitely is happening because of these applications. Why are these inputs going up on a yearly basis? Because the soil is getting weaker. The farmer is trying to compensate by putting more and more fertilizer and whatever else. Does any farmer, any industry, industrial farming companies, individual farmers, small, big, whatever, will they disagree that if you make your land rich, minimum 3% organic content, if you bring, we will give you an incentive, will anybody be against it? Nobody will be against it. Last 2 years, what I'm seeing is, I have been talking to a whole lot of people around the world, various agriculture ministries, ministers, heads of state, variety of people. What I see is everybody in responsible positions, every one of them knows what is the nature of the problem, what is the nature of the solution. They may not know the detail, but they know the nature of the solution. I've been wondering, what is this? Everybody knows the problem, everybody knows the solution. It looks like they were just waiting for an idiot to bell the cat. Here I am. Because it's always in the villages, it's always the village idiot who bells the cat. No, this is like that. I'm saying the most important thing right now, because you are in touch with all these groups who have taken different positions, this is one thing we need to do. That is, this problem has happened not because of any one evil force. There's no one evil person designing, having a design how to destroy this planet, there's no such thing. It's just all of us. It's all of us. Ignorance and apathy has caused this. And above all, every one of us are partners in this destruction. The only way is to get everybody on the side of the solution. Now if you separate fertilizer country, fertilizer company, pesticide company against yourself, it's not going to work because they are big businesses and after all they have to thrive. And also to give them the necessary credit, if all the fertilizer and pesticide and whatever other chemicals disappear, our food production will come down to 25% of what it is right now, which will be a massive disaster. We cannot afford that. If you increase the organic content, the fertilizer usage naturally starts sliding down. We have demonstrated this, and no demonstration is needed actually. If the soil is rich, you use less salts. It's a known thing. If you are eating nutritious food, you will take less vitamins and other stuff. Those who are eating bad food are taking a whole bunch of vitamins and stuff. So it's just like that. I'm saying the problem is not fertilizer, problem is not pesticide, it's just being used blatantly, irresponsible usage, because there's no doctored usage of these things. But right now, instead of trying to control that, if you enhance the organic content, those things will come down. I'm not at all saying it's not a concern, it is a serious concern, but all this will be useful, all this will be worthwhile only if the soil stays alive. Because for the first time we are talking about soil extinction and we don't have too much time.
So, what we have seen here in our region is that despite, let's say, better knowledge and despite better technology, we haven't seen the amount of pesticides being used coming down or the amount of synthetic fertilizers coming down, rather the opposite. Now we have an agreed target now that we want to reduce the use of hazardous pesticides by 50%. That's an agreed political target. But the argument that we kind of need that high input of chemical pesticides, of synthetic fertilizers, that argument has been used based on that fear that we need that to kind of sustain ourselves, to produce enough food, even though the very input is degrading our soils, which on the long run might actually
What will be the consequence if I use more pesticide? Is there a punitive action for that?
Sorry?
What will be the consequence? Suppose I am a farmer and I use much more pesticide than what you ask me to do. Is there punitive action for that?
Well, I mean, there's certain pesticides that can be used and that cannot be used, and now we have targets to reduce the use of pesticides. But the one problem is that this argument that we need that high input is needed to produce the amount of food that we need, even though we know on the long run it's actually undermining our ability to produce enough food on the long run. So. You said you're advocating for a higher organic material percentage in the ground. So can you say a bit more about how your campaign will, for instance, support and work with farmers to kind of also increase their knowledge and their capacity, for instance, to use natural pest control, and what needs to be done to control the amount of input?
See, in India, for example, there is a company with whom we have been working, which is one of the largest companies which is making biopesticides, which is organic kind of pesticides. One of the things that they're doing is, they are taking neem seed, you've heard of the neem tree, the neem seed oil, and using that. It is quite effective. But they've been collecting neem seeds all over the country, but they don't have enough neem seed in the entire country. Even if they gather it from everywhere, it's simply not enough, and it doesn't even fulfill 2% of the requirement, pesticide requirement in the country. So we want to grow the neem seeds. They're asking people to grow, but nobody wants to dedicate land to neem trees, because a neem tree takes minimum 20–25 years before it becomes reasonable size. It's a very slow-growing tree. So people came up with hybridized neem trees. Those neem trees don't have the same bitterness in their seeds, so it doesn't work. So I'm saying there are many complex issues. Even if you intend, a lot of things cannot be done overnight. But one thing we can definitely do is enhance the organic content. If you enhance the organic content, need for fertilizer will definitely start sliding down. Pesticide, I feel the simplest way to do this is, if you convert the entire region into a certain kind of farming. Right now, I am doing organic farming, you're doing regular farming, and we are neighbors. Once you spray, all your insects don't die, they all come to me. This is what is happening, because we are not converting an entire region. If an entire region gets converted, there are ways to do it. But when individual farmers go for it, they pay a huge price. And above all, farm economy is such a fragile thing. If you mess with it a little bit, the whole thing will collapse for the farmer. The highest number of suicides in the world is among the farming community. Both in India, in United States, people were saying even in Europe, in some of the countries, it is the highest for all the other professions. So this is happening because we are not understanding how hard and fragile it is to be on the farm. We need to address that. That's why I'm saying there must be incentives. If you raise the organic content, there must be incentive. Let's say you raise it to 3%. See, right now in the marketplace, they are saying this apple is organic. What is the other one? Is it inorganic? Is there something like that? Is it the same apple that Adam ate, that things went bad for him? So, the important thing is, if you say this is organic, what is it you're trying to say? You're trying to say either no pesticide and no fertilizer has been used, which I doubt most of the time. But if it is so, it's great, but that is going to be very limited produce, it's not going to serve the world. It is only going to serve 1% of the elite in the world. It will not serve the larger requirement. But instead of branding it as organic or inorganic, if you brand it as, let's say my field has 3% organic content. If I say this apple comes from a field which has 3% organic content, there's enough science to tell you, for 3% organic content field, what are all the extra micronutrients that will be there in that? And there's enough science to tell you, because of these extra micronutrients, what are all the benefits that you have in terms of health, in terms of preventive health, in terms of psychological health, what are the benefits? Suppose my field is 6% organic content, what are the benefits? There is enough science. So first thing is to give an incentive for farmer to raise this and make the incentive attractive enough so that farmers will voluntarily go for that. Next thing is the industry and business should come in to make sure the farmer who raises the organic content gets the carbon credit and extra income happens. And the next thing is, in the marketplace it will find its own level and it must be valued by the people. Now if you buy a 6% organic content field, if you buy the apple, it may be 5–10% more expensive. But instead of eating 5 apples, 1 apple will do because you will get the same nutrients. That's what they told you. 1 apple could keep the doctor away, not 8.
You have mentioned the suffering that farmers have experienced due to their dependence on buying and paying for things like pesticides and fertilizers.
That cost is going up year by year.
The cost is going up and people getting into a spiral of debt and dependence on these materials and their investment in that. And if their crops go wrong, they get stuck in their debts. So do you not believe that there is a responsibility for those companies producing pesticides and fertilizers, and especially in this region where we have stricter laws on what kind of pesticides, for instance, we can use, but we still produce and export those that are banned here because they're very hazardous to countries in the global south, where people, the farm workers, the farmers, the people working in the field are exposed to the health hazards. What do you think is the responsibility here?
This has always been the case with pesticide or pharmaceuticals or whatever. What's banned here is sold everywhere else in the world. It's an unfortunate reality. Right now I am on a Save Soil mission. I don't want even a single human being against it. So I will skip that one.
So my last question would be around land as a resource. So land is a finite resource. It's subject to increasing pressure around the world, and we've talked about it, urbanization, infrastructure development, but also increased food, feed, fiber production, fuel production. So here in our region, every year we lose around 500 square kilometers of agricultural land, which is transformed, converted into artificial areas. And this is, of course, a global problem, not just a European problem, because the demand, of course, for areas to settle, to grow food, to grow biomass is rising around the world. So, and here, from the European region, we are, of course, also contributing to pressure on land in other parts of the world because we're net importers. We're net importers of things like agricultural commodities, feedstock for our farm animals, of biofuels, etc. So what do you think are some of the big turning points globally to prevent our increased need for land, which is a finite resource?
I think the most important thing is that in our consciousness, instead of referring to soil and land as resource, we must refer to it as our source. This is very, very important. It's like all of us were fed on our mother's breast. Do we call her a resource or our source? She's our source. So across the world, in Eastern societies at least, even today we refer to soil as mother. Because the word mother does not mean biological, word mother means our source. We say a mothership, a motherboard, even in electronics, all right? Because when something is the source, you refer to that as a mother. I think this is the most important thing that needs to happen in our minds, in our consciousness, that it is our source, it is not our resource, it is not something to exploit, it is something we must nourish, because the health of the soil will determine the health of life on this planet. There is simply no two ways about it. So referring to it as resource itself has caused this, because see, this may look like very, up in the air kind of stuff, but I'm saying the way human beings think is the way they act, isn't it? The way we all think and feel is the way we act, and the way we build societies around it, the way we build industry, the way we build everything is based on how we think and feel within ourselves. So how we think and feel has to change, that soil is not an inert material for us to use as a resource. It is our source, it is the life there which makes us the way we are. Today all of you know that, nearly 60% of your body itself is microbial life, only 40% is your parental genetics. I was telling this little girl, and this little girl coming and complaining to me, "Sadhguru, my mother is not allowing me. I want to do safe soil, my mother is not allowing me." I said, just tell her she's only 20%.
Well, there's definitely a very big need to raise awareness about the meaning of soil, because it's definitely a topic which hasn't received enough attention, even though we're losing soil at a very rapid pace. So increasing the awareness about the role that soil is playing as a life support system for us as humankind and the rest of the planet is extremely important. So I hope your mission will be very successful in mobilizing millions around the globe to save soil and to create more awareness of what we need to do to protect it for us and for future generations. So I understand we're taking questions from the audience now.
Before that, can I ask a question?
Of course.
All this variety of organizations which you represent in some way, I hugely respect their concern, but the mode, I think there needs to be a little relook. It's not for me to tell them how they should operate, but there should be a little relook on how we address this. Because this is our last chance, if you ask me. In the next 20-30 years, if we don't do some real fixing, we will be very sorry. As a generation, as a species, we will be very sorry. So, being in that kind of a crucial period, the most important thing is, there should be no human being who is against whatever campaign you're doing, whether it's pesticide or this, that. So for this to happen, we must take away this fighting mode. People are saying war against climate change. We don't need climate change is bad enough, we don't need a war. There is nobody who disagrees with what you're saying. It is just that immediate needs, express needs are making people act the way they act. The more we complicate it with too many issues, the more conferences we will have and less action we will have. I must tell you my experience with world peace conferences. At one time, about 2.5, 3 years, I went for all the major world peace conferences happening in the world. I genuinely believed these people are working for world peace. So I went there sitting in the front seats, front row and trying to do this. Then I realized for a whole lot of them, conference hopping itself is a profession. It's really, unfortunately, it is true. And I went to one particular very prominent conference where there were 43 Nobel laureates and some former heads of state and all this stuff. I thought, this is it. Definitely they're going to work for world peace. So I was speaking on day 3, so I did not attend the day 1, so I went in at day 2. So lots of excitement, everybody, lots of wonderful people. Then when the day 3 in the afternoon it came, the speaker before me was a Nobel laureate. And he came and stood, there's no podium like this, it's a very transparent podium, that was a nice wooden podium like that. He stood behind that, opened his file, he never raised his head again. He went on reading. I was counting the pages, he read 42 pages. I am sitting here listening to every word, wanting to grasp how are they going to create world peace? Then I look around and see the whole hall has become really peaceful. Except for the security and the hotel staff, just everybody uniformly have fallen asleep. I thought, I'm the only idiot sitting here and trying to really believing that there's going to be world peace. Then next is me speaking. I went up and I asked a simple question, how many of you here can put your hand on your heart and say, your mind is peaceful? At least they were honest people. They said, no, Sadhguru, we are not peaceful. I said, if you can't make your mind peaceful, how the hell do you get entitled to make the world peaceful? Because there is no peace in the world only because of the nonsense that's happening in human head. If human beings are not here, everything is very peaceful. So, without addressing the fundamental, how do we create this? And then I asked, what is the secret that everybody uniformly fell asleep, entire hall? I said, no, Sadhguru, previous evening there was a Bacardi festival. That's the last conference I went to. So I'm saying so many COPs are happening, now I'm also going to this COP15. I'm saying if we reduce the tempers and the heat against each other and look for a solution, make necessary compromises and at least make 5% progress rather than 100% talk. 100% pitching for 100% transformation, instead of that 5%, a small step if we take, actual step, rather than really shooting for the ideal. Yes, we don't give up the ideal, but we must take one step. This is one step I'm asking for. Make soil, if you own an urban land here, if you own 10,000 square feet, you can't build 10,000 square feet. But if you own 100 acres, you can plow every inch of it, turn it into a desert in the next 10 years. Nobody will ask you, why in urban land there is a law, in rural land, agricultural land, there is no law. Why can't we make a law? If you own agricultural land, minimum 3% organic content should be there. 3% is not great, 3% is starvation diet for the microbes, but at least they stay alive. 3% is not the ideal, minimum 3%. Now 2 billion people are under water stress. They're saying by 2032, 3.5 billion people will be under water stress. Well, if you increase the organic content to 8 to 10%, your irrigation requirements will come down to 30% of what you're using right now. If you're using 100 liters of water, it'll come down to 30 liters. If you raise it to 12 to 15%, it will come down to 10 to 15%. We have demonstrated this 100%. So, if 3.5 billion people don't have drinking water on a daily basis, those days are gone where they will just sit there and die of thirst. Now there is transportation, there is information, people will come where there is water and food, isn't it? So it is expected by 2032, over 1 billion people will be migrating. Migration, forced migration, unplanned migration is not a great thing because the amount of human suffering that it causes, particularly to women and children, is unspeakable. That kind of things happen to them. But this can be prevented if you enrich the soil. If the soil is good, why will they leave their traditional lands and try to go to some strange place? They will not go there. So, this needs to happen. All the wonderful organizations, whatever work they have done, we deeply appreciate. But if one agenda is taken and all of us push for it, the chances of making that happen are so much better than taking up 100 things which are important, definitely important and significant. But in the order of significance, keeping the soil alive should come as number one, everything else as secondary. Right now, somebody has got dandruff, somebody has got this one, that one, but the cancer should be attended to first before we fix the hairstyle. I'm sorry if I'm a little abrasive, because I feel this is express. This needs to happen now.
Well, I agree with you that we have to take things step by step, and we also have to take people along. Things are not only fixed at conferences. Here, I mean, in Europe, the environmental movement, I mean, there's millions and millions of people on the ground in all different countries and regions, in rural areas and cities who are active, who are making a change through their daily lives, through grassroots level activities. So it's not just about the high level conferences, but also through people's daily actions, and we definitely need to mobilize people for this very important topic. And I agree with you that we have to break it down into simple steps that people can get together for, while also kind of not forgetting what the big systemic drivers are, degrade our soils. So not reducing it to kind of one issue, but you know, for example, if we focus on the organic content only, but we don't, for instance, put a framework up that prevents further sealing of soils, further loss of agricultural land, then we'll also not be successful with emissions. I think it's all about linking the systemic issues to a strong core message that you're providing.
100%. I'm very much with that. And above all, why I'm little pushy on this with Europe is, in many ways, the world is looking at Europe as a more organic or bio-friendly part of the world. You doing things quickly is very important for the rest of the world because your organic content is 0.48%, but entire African region is 0.3%. Europe doing the right things quickly is an inspiration for everybody else. I have no doubt that all these many organizations are doing significant work. I really appreciate that. All I'm saying is, you have a responsibility not just for your land, you have a responsibility for the world. Nobody looks at America as an inspiration for bio-related stuff. Everybody looks at Europe. So please, all of you together, make that happen.
Are we taking questions from the audience?
Yes, if they have.
There's many, so how do we go about it?
Yeah, please. Namaskaram, Sadhguru. I'm here.
Where are you?
The other side.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Eloise, and I'm from Belgium. So my question is, how do we get people to care about soil when they're so busy with other things such as careers and other ambitions in life? So how do we do this? Thank you.
Where is the time? Even I have been asking for some extra time because I always felt that 24 hours were never enough for me. I've been petitioning for a long time to get 4 hours extra per day, but not been sanctioned till now. So that is when I stopped shaving and I got every day 20 minutes extra. So, This nearly 2,000 people who are here, you must become earth buddies. What earth buddy means is, you invest 10 to 15 minutes a day, and in your hands, you have a smartphone or a dumb phone, what do you have? Huh? All of you have smartphones. So if you are calling something smart, it must be smarter than you. Hey, you call somebody smart only if they're smarter than us, isn't it? So if you have such a smartphone, don't waste your time just sending silly messages on that one. You can also do that little bit, that's your life. But at least 10-15 minutes a day if you invest, I'm telling you, just these 2,000 people can move those 3 to 4 billion people I'm talking about, because what you have in your hand is a powerhouse. Never before in the history of humanity was there ever a possibility that we could sit here and talk to the world. Never before. So when there is a technology like this, when there is a means like this in your hands, you saying, I don't have time to even twiddle my thumbs. What is that? So that means you don't realize the seriousness of the situation we are facing. Let us not be that generation which walks into a calamity and then grieves over it. Unfortunately, too many generations have done that in terms of famines, in terms of wars, in terms of other kinds of disasters that human beings have caused to themselves. Let us not be that generation which falls over into a disaster and then cries over it. Let us be that generation which turn back from the brink of a disaster. Let us be that generation. The disadvantage is, nobody will know that you actually fixed the problem because you fixed it before it happened. This is what you should be. Hello? Everybody is telling me, Sadhguru, let's go to the schools, all the children, we must wake them up, we must make them angry, fight. No. Children till they are 15 years of age, let them grow up without any concern about anything. Let them eat well, play well, learn well. Let them grow up without concern. This is most important. Injecting poisons of anger and hatred and resentment into a child's mind is a very horrible thing to do, because how a child processes these emotions is very different from how an adult would, and their entire life could get poisoned because of this. So let children grow up. I'm saying we must fix the world in such a way, children never realized they were on the brink of something. Isn't this the way any responsible parent does their life? Hello? So, do I have an earth buddy in you? Where's that girl? Only one? Hello? See, I'm addressing the COP15 in the month of May. 170 nations are to be represented there with either their agriculture ministers or environment ministers, and a few probably heads of state. If you have over 3 billion people saying something about soil in some social media, we know how to aggregate these numbers. If we have that number, we have a solid case to give confidence to the governments to take the needed steps, because you must understand, in a democracy, governments are not elected to do something fantastic. They are elected to fulfill people's mandate. I'm asking you, in which nation on this planet has it happened 60% of the population has stood up and said, we are concerned about long-term well-being of our nation, of our biodiversity, of our children's lives, we are concerned. In which nation have they expressed this? Only in some tea party, or maybe in a group of concerned people in a conference or wherever they're talking. Where has 60% of the people stood up? That's all I'm asking you. Get 60% of the world's population, 60% of the adult population to say something about soil in the next 100 days. We will see how to get the policy done.
Are we taking the next question? Whose turn is it?
You're the boss today. Please take the microphone, whoever wants to. Oh, this lady has two hands, she should give it to her.
I think there's one gentleman.
Hi, my name is Paolo. I'm originally from Ukraine, but now I work as a vegan chef in Stockholm, and I came here from Stockholm, from Sweden, and I feel that cooking and eating habits strongly influence the issue we're touching today, the soil issue. So my question is there any way we can change our cooking and eating habits to save soil?
As I told Patricia some time ago, I'm also telling you, if I talk about how you eat, what's wrong with the way you eat and what you eat, then I will alienate 50% of the population. Right now, I'm not willing to do that. I want 100% of the population with Save Soil movement. So we're skipping that question.
Okay, there's many more hands. Who's getting the microphone? Well, there's people going around with microphones. Yes.
Namaskaram, Sadhguru. I'm here. I'm Heini. I'm from Belgium and Hungary originally. So I'm just here.
Okay.
You can go. Nice to meet you. My friend, you can go. So I had a question in our day-to-day habits. What would be the most important thing to do to save soil in terms of, okay, I wanted to ask the same question as the previous man, but is there anything else we can do if we don't have that much power of that much audience? And in little things, you know, there are the keys for huge changements in the world. So what are these little keys we have to use to open these doors to a better soil health?
Right now, I'm not talking about these little things because you will do a little thing and think you've done your bit. This is a serious problem in the world. You do your little thing and you think you've done your bit. So we won't talk about those little things right now. I want you to do the big thing, that is to move the people. Oh, how can I do it? I don't have a following. Hey, go and dance on the street, huh? People will gather. What do you think I'm doing? I want you to understand, what do you think I'm doing? Making a fool of myself, going around the world. Really, this is not my job, because I thought if we don't do it now, it may be too late, somebody has to do it. But I want you to understand, when something very important… See, the problem with this is, soil doesn't die bang bang like a war or something, it is dying quietly. What happens quietly you always miss, that's the whole problem. See, just 70, 80 years ago in this world, there were famines all over the place. When famines happened, for example in India in 1942, the Bengal famine took 3.2 million people in 4 months. Famine is the worst possible way for human beings to die, because it's a slow fade. There have been famine situations in the world where people have cut the limbs of their own children and nourished themselves. But I'm saying, once food shortages come, your civilization will evaporate in no time, even your humanity will evaporate. Yes, 3 days if there's no food in this city, you will see there'll be no human beings, everybody will be behaving like beasts. Let's not push the world there. Every responsible scientist is pointing out, this is the way. You want to do little things, this is not the time to do little things. Little things are important too. But right now, I don't want to talk about little things because I fear, because I've seen people for last 40 years, endlessly I've been with people, they're always thinking how to do the smallest thing they can do towards a solution, not the biggest thing that they can do. Let me tell you a story. This happened in Brussels in 1861. Is there any historical event around 1861 in Brussels?
I'm not even from Belgium, so maybe
Okay.
we can consult with you. But I'm sure something very significant happened.
No, I want to choose a date where nothing happened because I don't want them to link it to that. Some 1860-something, okay, when nothing happened. On that day, the people in Brussels, they looked up at the moon and, moon has its own shades and it keeps shifting from day to day. So they believed there are people on the moon. And they thought, we must communicate. How? There were no spacecrafts and nothing at that time. So they decided, at a given moment, all of us will come on the rooftops of our buildings and homes. In one voice, we will ask, who? Let's see what they say. Now I will say 1, 2, 3, in one voice, all of you must say who. 1, 2, 3. So you have become like this, you are a wonderful group of people. That day, everybody came on the rooftops. When that moment was approaching, I was also here in Brussels at that time. And I thought, oh, my voice, I'm just a small voice, even with microphone people can't hear. What if I don't say who? All these wonderful people are saying who? So I thought this is a, unique moment, all of you saying who in one voice. So I wanted to listen to how you say it. That moment came and it passed in total silence. You get it? This is the problem with the world. All of us are consuming. When it comes to compensatory action, we are wondering who should do more, who should do less. I appreciate the question because you really intend to do something. But as I said earlier, you going and fixing your garden, you changing your diet, all this is important. All this is important when it happens on a global scale. But it will be lost when you do it individually. I am not saying it's not good. It is very good for you and for the soil, even if one person transforms. But right now we are at a place where we want to push the policy. Because unless it's enshrined in the policy, now she has some land, she is doing a great job, I have some land, I'm doing a great job. Where is the guarantee next generation will do the same thing? Unless it's in the policy. Unless it's enshrined in the policy, there is no guarantee it will sustain. So this is why it has to get into the policy. Right now when we're taking this step, don't ask me how to take the 10th step. That is why a whole lot of efforts have fallen on their face, because they are trying to take the 10th step when they should take the first step. You must get me 3 billion people, you. Okay? Do whatever you have to do, don't ask me what. You are much younger than me, and I'm sure your ability to handle this technology is much better than me. So you must tell me, Sadhguru, let's do this. Don't ask me what to do. Hello?
Yes, let's take the question from the lady here.
Namaskaram, Sadhguru. My name is Ishata and I'm from Amsterdam. And before I ask my question, I would like to say that it has been such a delightful and wonderful evening, and listening to you, it's just so fantastic, and I would like to thank you.
You're beginning to enjoy the problem, eh?
Yeah. Oh. Well, you've truly inspired me as a young person to raise my voice on saving the soil. And I'm so thankful that you're raising the consciousness on this planet, so thank you. So to my question, how can we create more awareness within our education system itself about saving the soil and also the overall well-being of our planet in a positive and progressive manner?
Well, one important thing that needs to happen is every child in the world must know that when you step out, you're stepping on a living entity called soil. Then you would walk a little more gently. When you walk a little more gently, every other activity that you do also you would do it a little more consciously. If somebody is lying down here, even by accident, if you stepped on them, will you just walk and go on? Hello? Hello? You're not that inhuman, aren't you? Don't say a lot of people. Unfortunately, there are a few people who put their humanity to sleep. There are people, but generally almost nobody here can do that, isn't it? If you as much step on somebody's foot, can you simply go? You cannot go. This is your humanity. So if children are conscious and if you are conscious, you are stepping on a living entity, you would walk gently, we would do our industry gently, we would do our agriculture gently. Will it happen tomorrow? No. But if this is the way we think and feel, slowly that change will happen. Because the problem is so massive, nobody believes it'll turn around tomorrow morning, all right? It will not. But the question is, will we at least orient ourselves in the right direction? Right now we are on the path of destruction. Shall we at least turn towards a solution? We may not get there today, we may not get there tomorrow, we may not get there in 10 years, but shall we at least start walking in the right direction? This must happen. This must not… wait. This is not going to be necessarily done by a government or an education system or something. You must do it. In everything that you do, it must come out of you. Whoever you meet, it must come out of you. You're not giving them a lecture, just the way you exist. It needs to happen.
We will take one final question, so…
Name, where you're from, and ask a question and keep the mic…
It's your…
Okay, one very young gentleman has a question. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Yoga Mitran. I'm from India, Chennai. I would like to ask a question. How should we help actually save the soil?
Yep.
How should we help save soil?
I was talking to our children at the Isha Home School in South India. They're all of your age or a little more than that. When I told them this, they took this up upon themselves and they said, they are going to inspire 10 million children in India to write to the Prime Minister. Right now, we have not reached 10 million, a few 100,000 letters have been written by children. Prime Minister's office is being inundated with children's paintings, children's Save Soil messages. They're requesting us, make it digital, please. These physical letters are becoming too many. So, somebody was telling me these… they've written all kinds of addresses, the children, and it's all over Delhi in post offices because children didn't get the right address. But I'm saying, even if 1 million letters go to the Prime Minister from children, you think anybody is going to ignore that? So you must get your school and every other school that you can possibly to write this, all of you. Get this going, at least 1 million children in Belgium should write to your Prime Minister. This needs to happen. Get 5 million children across Europe to write to the European Union. This needs to happen. See, the governments must know to what extent people are concerned, otherwise why will they act? Just a handful of activists wasting their lives, going on doing this for their entire life. If everybody stands up, it'll happen very quickly, isn't it? They're spending their life. To give you an example, You know, in 29 days of Rally for Rivers, driving from southern India to Himalayas, I drove through 16 states, nearly 9,300 kilometers, and we gathered 162 million people supporting us. Once there was that kind of a number, the policy document that we wrote, which was 760-page document about how to manage tropical rivers in India, became the official policy recommended to all the 28 states within 3.5 months. Today it is the official policy. Implementation is slow, 6 states went for it, proactive. Others usually wait for a disaster to happen. That is a mode, unfortunately. Then to create a certain express need, we started what is called as Kaveri Calling. That one river basin we took up, which is 83,000 square kilometers, and 5.2 million farmers live and work here. Looking at the success of that, 5 UN agencies joined up with us. Because of the success, there is no other project of that scale happening anywhere in the world. And looking at the success of that, the central government made a similar replica projects for 13 river basins which account for 67% of India's land. Now we have been pushing this has already been 5 years. Now just about 8 days ago or 9 days ago, Government of India announced a budget of $2.3 billion for these 13 river basins. This is just the beginning. So in all this, the most important role is that of the people. Because of the size of support that is there, government cannot ignore it. No democratic government will ever ignore the numbers, because numbers are the basic currency in a democracy. If you raise the numbers to 3 to 4 billion people in the world, everybody will sit up and listen. So, if I can say something, 1 second, everybody's asking how to do it, how to do it. One thing is follow the journey on Save Soil. I want you to understand, this is not about you supporting me, I don't need that. What you need to do is, you and whoever else in the world, talk something about soil for next 100 days. You don't have to link it to this moment, you do your own campaign. But say something about soil. Everybody speak something about soil. It doesn't matter in what form this will become a reality. It may happen in considering all the realities that you're talking about, or it may happen taking just a few of them, but let at least one step move in that direction of keeping soils alive. If they could take everything and make it happen, fantastic, but I doubt whether they will take such a strong step, because they have many industries and others. There are fighting forces out there. The simplest thing, where there is no fight, let's take that step. After that, where there is fight, we will go a little more slowly, because economic interests are there in this. Nobody is going to give it up just like that. So share SaveSoil.org website with as many people as you can. Make Save Soil song reverberate everywhere. Can download it from the website. Your children write a letter to the Prime Minister or President of your country. Can find on website. Put up Save Soil stickers on your cars, display placards wherever you can. If you don't have a car, if you don't have anything, stick it on your clothes. Let's make it happen.
Thank you Sadhguru, thank you Patricia Heidegger for sharing their insights and perspectives with us today. Thank you so much. And of course, we are immensely grateful to Mohambi and the talented ensemble today for their wonderful performance. I also want to thank all the Isha volunteers and all those that made this event possible. And finally, a special thanks to all of you who followed us.
Give a big hand to the musicians, come on.
Sadhguru, Would you like to share some final remarks with us?
I think I've said enough.
You have said enough, okay. then let's sing a song of peace, a song of love. Here's presenting to you the Soil Song, which has created soil waves across the world, a dance for earth. Let's talk soil, sing soil, breathe soil, and live soil. Thank you so much.
This very body is soil. My body, your body, everybody is just soil body. The magic of soil is it turns death into life. Depleted soils will not quench the fire of hunger. Unquenched hunger can burn the very world. This is a generational responsibility. Save soil. Let's make it happen.
the purple hat.